It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. So today we're going to be looking at a factory-made coiled cable. In fact, it's going to be the Redragon Coiled Cable. So the background on this one is that I managed to buy this cable for $1. Now, normally when you buy this at the moment, I just did a quick search online, it sits around the 15 US kind of price bracket. You probably could get it cheaper. I can see that it's available from like AliExpress, from Amazon, from a variety of different sellers. But it's going to be around that 15 US, that kind of range. Now, why am I looking at this cable? Well, coiled cables is a big deal in the keyboard space. A lot of keyboards that come from the factory will just have very simple, cheap, plain plastic coated cables. And the coiled cable look is an aesthetic that people really like and enjoy. And people will pay a lot of money for a variety of custom cables to suit. Now, in terms of desktop setups, it is also a space saving feature to be able to have a coiled cable and not be so messy, because you don't have all that extra slack going in everywhere, but the coil allows you to have that string and pull. And then of course there's, you know, connectors, disconnects and stuff like that depending on what you're after. So here it is. Now of course I got this for $1. It's definitely not paid for, it's not promoted for by Redragon in the slightest. Now this particular one is a white one. The model I believe is the A115W for white. So it's only got a 5-foot cord on it. It is A to C. Now I'm not going to bother getting a keyboard and plugging it in, simply because it's not going to show or demonstrate anything. I don't have anything that's going to test the quality of its data transfer, the speed, or anything of that nature. We're just really going to look at its construction quality, because for $20 versus potentially paying $30 US, 50 Australian, even $100 sometimes for really custom cables, are you going to get a good bang for buck in buying something like this from, you know, a cheap company, a mass-produced OEM called cable? That's really what we're looking at today. Okay, so it's claimed to be gold-plated, reverse coil. It's got an aviator connector in it. So this graphics here, it's got a socket connect type. So that means you can leave one side plugged into your computer, and then you can switch cables or keyboards if they've got a compatible aviator connector on it. Now, they say aviation connector. It's just a particular type of connector. They can also be called Canon plugs, depending on the industry that you work in or for. There's a variety of them. There's also brand names for connectors, like Limo connectors and stuff like that. So that's just a bit of terminology if you're not particularly familiar with it. So on the back, it has a few things where it's, you know, quick attach, reverse cable, so that it springs back, supposedly. USB-C connection, USB-A to the PC side, and then it's compatible with Redragon keyboards and most USB keyboards. I would be interested to know what USB-C keyboards this is not compatible with, because that would be kind of, I suppose, a little bit concerning. So it's still factory sealed. There's the stickers on all sides of it. Has not been opened. So let's safely get it open. Oh, I'm cutting into the box and not across the sticker. There we go. That it's okay. It's just a box. It'll live. Not cut myself putting that back together. Okay, so what do we get for your money right now? There we go. Pretty straightforward. So we've got two parts. We've got the first part, and it's a 4 connector there. So the focus is not really great there, but there's 4 points of contact on that plug. I would expect that, of course, to be data plus, data minus, voltage and then ground or something of that nature, typically for USB cables. Now it claims that it's gold plated. It is gold in color. Whether it is actually gold or not, I don't know. And the first thing that I'm going to notice here, it's wonky. It's bent. Look at this. Hang on, I'm going to try and get the focus right. The connector, this is absolutely hilarious. Is making a little face. Okay, this dude is making a little face, and it's not straight. It's not straight. I don't even know how to show this. Hang on, I've got an extender here. Is that too short? I've got a second one here. They're both really short. Okay, so if I was to plug this in, right? It is at an angle. That the end of the connection to the body of this plug is wedge shaped. That gap is a wedge. Like, it is horrific. It is absolutely horrific to look at. That is bent that way. I mean, look, I got this for $1, so I can't complain. But if you paid $20, $30 for this, if you paid $15 for this, you would probably be like, that's not cool. If I paid $5 for this, I'd probably be like, yeah, it's okay. $10 would be pushing it. 15 plus, I would not be happy with that. I would not be happy with that at all. All right, so I'm sorry. I'm just finding it really amusing. It's a good amount of length. So it's meant to be almost 6 feet of length, right? And that is a good amount of length in there. Like, that is my entire arm span. So my arm span, like, if I put this, so it's fingertip on my left hand, it almost makes, well, it doesn't quite, but it's pretty close. So that's about 170, maybe 160 centimeters on that length alone. So this will be uncoiled, that remaining gap distance. The sheathing on this, the braiding on this it's actually pretty decent. It's a bit rough. It's not very smooth, but like I can definitely try to kink that, and it returns pretty well. So it's not holding a particular memory to it. So that's okay. And I do like the fact that it does have that bit of Velcro on it, so you can, tidy that up and coil it back up, keep it neat if you wish to. So we're just going to reduce the length of that again to keep it neat. Oh, Redragon. I'm sure this video will not impact your sales in the slightest because of that, but if you do see it, I hope you pay note to that it's not straight. Okay, so here's a coil. It's a short coil. How long is that coil? So the coiled section here is about 11 centimeters. So what's that? It's about just over 4¼ inches. So it's pretty short. It's good in that if you have that in your keyboard in some location, it's going to sit horizontal and it's opposing. So the natural position is opposing. There are coil cable types where you get straight, which means that this end coil is actually at 90 degrees so that you can run your cable directly sideways, but this one is running straight forward and out. In terms of the spring, I'm going to be quite extreme and stretch it, and it doesn't, I mean, if I give it a push together, it kind of retains that, but its natural stretch is probably only about that far. So what's that? It's probably about 20 centimeters is what its natural stretch is. You can go further, but it will start to, as you can see, it's causing this to open up a bit now after I've given it a bit of a stretch. It's pretty good. It's the same material, so it's got a good amount of spring resistance on it. Let's have a look. So the C connector is definitely much straighter, and it is gold colored. Whether it's actually gold plated, I don't know. But in terms of just connection, if I get my mobile phone and I plug that in, we'll be able to see, yeah, it's running straight. So there's no issues there. Fits pretty well for a standard USB-C. And then of course there is your 4-pin plug. For me, I want to call it a Canon plug, not an aviator plug or an aviation plug, but they have a little bit of a reference point, a reference dent, and then you should be able to, once you find that, push it in. So yep, so just to show what I'm talking about. So the top of that has a little indent there. You can see the reference numbers now, and that's got good focus, 1, 2, 3, 4 for cable building. And then at the top of the male side here, there's that bar, that bit of metal there that will line up with the top of that. There's also a flat point to help you identify that. So there's a flat there. Actually, there's flats on both sides so that you can align it, and then you can screw that on tight. Now these connectors are meant to be rated for a certain type of application. The orientation connection means that you won't get wires mixed up, and depending on the specifications of this, it would be resistant to forces pulling on it, shaking, vibration. These types of plugs, depending on their grade, can also have gaskets in them for waterproof and things like that, whereas I don't expect that this one particularly has terribly much. It does have screws here that clamp it onto the cable body, but you know, the higher spec ones will have rubber gaskets and sealants and stuff like that that would also prevent ingress of liquids or gases and things like that getting inside, corroding those connections and causing damage to that connection. So that works pretty well. It's pretty neat. The white looks good. Obviously over time it might get dirty, but because it's a synthetic, I would expect that you'd probably be able to wash that out or wipe it out, and you shouldn't really be handling your cables too much anyway. So if I was just to move that, and of course it's not going to match this board because this is a black keyboard and it's a wired connection, but it would basically look, you know, something like that. Yeah, so instead of all of this and all of this, you'll get that. Is it worth the money? Look, I mean, for me, I paid $1, so I'm pretty happy with that. But if I was paying $15 for it, I would probably be okay with it, except for that. I probably wouldn't want to pay $30 or more on that, even with the connector, because you can get these connectors pretty cheap these days anyway. It's, you know, not the most expensive thing out there, and I've just noticed that this connector is also not straight. This connector, this body, the barrel to it is actually not straight either. It's bent. It's bent a little bit like that to the 90 degrees. So yeah, there's all sorts of shenanigans to this. Yeah, that's not straight. Good job. Good job. In fact, yeah, the body, this lip here, you can see maybe that the black running horizontal, the vertical of that lip is actually slightly at an angle. It's not 90 degrees to it. So cheap connectors, cheap quality, cheap build, but overall relatively cheap price. Will it work? I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. Is it your aesthetic? If it is, cool. If it isn't, that's cool too. But if you've never come across one of these before, or if you have and you're curious on what you're actually going to get and is it worthwhile buying something from, you know, AliExpress, Amazon, wherever, Banggood, other suppliers of such things. That's what you can kind of expect for that kind of money. So there you go. There you go. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for coming along and checking out this video. This will probably go back just into storage for the time being until I need at least a USB cable, because I'm often scrambling around to find USB cables for keyboards or bits of equipment that don't come with one. So yeah, that'll just sit in my little shelf over here and be within easy access. Because prior to that, I was actually using the cable from my An Pro 2 for a bit, but now that we've moved house, it's in the shed, so it's a little bit harder to get to. And they even give you a sticker. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Alright, that's it. Thank you very much for coming along and checking out this video. If you like seeing things like this, then of course hit that like button, that share, subscribe button, and all of that usual jazz. If you have somebody who is interested in checking out cables, maybe thinking of buying one, then this might help them make a decision on if they want to spend $15 or more for a custom cable. So there you go. Redragon Coiled Cable. Well, that's it for me. Thanks again. And of course, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.